Hey, what's up everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Greenleaf Season 3, Episode 5, and the name of this episode is Closing Doors. Before I get started, let me send a special congratulations to the cast and crew of Greenleaf. They have been renewed for Season 4, so I'm really happy about that. So, yes, because already 5 episodes in, this show has got me at the edge of my seat, and this episode was very heavy, and I can't wait to tell you about it, so let me begin. Okay, the episode picks up, Lady May is in her office and she's looking at this brochure for Howard University School of Divinity, and Corinne buzzes in and lets her know that that her grandmother Clara is on the phone. Lady May talks to Clara, and it seems that Clara has changed her mind about giving them the $2 million towards the IRS bill that they have going on. And then we see that she goes to talk to the bishop about it. The bishop says, yes, I already know. And then the bishop gonna start going about, well, probably her financial advisor is trying to, take control because he's probably gonna want her money after she dies. I'm like, but here it is, you two were literally trying to get her to give up $2 million for a personal debt that she had really she had nothing to do with. And instead of you guys coming up with the money yourselves, you tried to swindle it out of her, because she was a lottery winner. It's like the moves they play is crazy, but I was just completely alright, there we go. I was just completely bothered by that, because I'm like, weren't you trying to swindle money, and now you trying to claim that her financial advisors are trying to swindle her? Like, the nerve of people. But then Lady May pretty much says that, look, this is something that you caused, and here it is, we got to clean up your mess again. And he was like, what you mean me? What about your brother, May? What about what the heck your brother's been doing? And she was saying, I had nothing to do with that. And then he was like, yeah, but you never complained when I was bringing that wad of money home and everything like that. She said, yeah, because you told me it was love offerings. You never told me that it was coming from all this crooked stuff that you and my brother have been doing. So don't even put that on me. But then she was like, I know exactly what we need to do. We need to announce to the congregation that we're getting a divorce. You need to step down, and I will take over the church, and I can raise the money to get everything back in order. And he was like, you ain't taking over nothing. You came in as first lady, you gonna leave as first lady. And she said that you know how much you know what I lost when I chose to follow you instead of following my own calling. And he was like, yeah, Gucci, Chanel, Tiffany's. Like he was just throwing it out there. He's like, look, I'm gonna put my foot down and I'm gonna let you know, if we get a divorce, you're leaving the church. It's nature's way. And I'm like, see, Maxine definitely ruffled your feathers last week when she told you to take over May. But now you realize you're in for a fight, because you ain't just going to be able to just take the church from him. You're going to really have to fight for that church, because he ain't letting it go. Then we see that Lady May wakes up Zora I think 4:45 in the morning to do 15-minute Bible study. And we see that while they're having Bible study, Sophia comes in and Sophia says hi. She ignores her, but Lady May makes her speak, and Sophia goes out on a run. And while they're reading, they read a passage where it says that he will bring us back. And Lady May was like, exactly, God will always bring us back. So kind of letting her know that, yeah, you have been misled from the Lord, and now you need to return to him. So, and then we also get a clip of Carissa. She's in Zora's room, and we can definitely see that Carissa is really going through it emotionally because her daughter's not there, and she is definitely feeling that pain. Then we get a scene with Charity and Grace, and let me just go to say, Charity really worked my nerves this episode. She really did, because we see that Charity and Little Nathan are now back at the house. We come to find out that, yeah, Kevin did call the police, and that's why she was arrested, and she was arrested at the Four Seasons. And from the looks of it, I think she was in Atlanta when they found her. So now she's mad, and she's taking it out on Grace, because Grace is trying to be there for her. She's like, see, if it wasn't for you talking to Kevin, none of this would have never happened. I'm like, no, boo-boo. If it wasn't for you ignoring Kevin's phone calls, he never would have went that route. But then again, I'm mad that Kevin did that, because Kevin, let's be real, bruh. I understand you needed to get out and find yourself and really, come to terms with you being an openly gay man. But the route you took was cowardice, and it was a very punk way to deal with it, because you didn't keep in touch with her. So you just abandoned your ex-wife and your child, and now you get back with your chest. Now you coming back with your chest poked out, thinking you're supposed to get your way. It don't work like that way. It don't work that way, player. You should have eased your way back into the situation, not trying to take over and telling her what she can and can't do with Little Nathan when you walked away. So, but instead of Charity actually owning her crap, she's trying to blame it on Grace. And I'm like, doesn't this sound familiar? Like mother, like daughter, huh? That is definitely Lady May's child. Because Lady May does the same thing. She likes to blame Grace or any and everybody else but herself for her misjudgment or her, bad decisions. They like to blame it on other people. And we're seeing that Charity, the apple didn't fall too far from the tree, because she is just like Lady May, blaming everybody else, especially Grace, for her misfortune when Grace had nothing to do with it. And it was and also because of Grace, Kevin's not pressing charges. So she was still able to talk him to not go too far. But he already did the deed by reporting the baby was kidnapped. And she's like, oh, I was so embarrassed and all of that. I'm like, well, you kind of brought it on yourself, because at the end of the day, you should not have took that baby across state lines, and you shouldn't have been ignoring his call. So you left him really no option but to go nuclear, and that's what he did. But then again, he should not have done that. He should have kind of just let things cool off. But as I said, Kevin has gotten introduced to that inner queen, and when that inner queen is ready to attack, there's nothing you can do about it. So there we go. Then we see that Sophia's jogging, and she ends up hurting on her, I think, like her right side. And she's been having these pains lately, and we come to find out it's something different, but I'm going to get to that. Then we see that the bishop meets up with Percy Thompson, I think, the guy that introduced him in May. They brought him back, and think the actor that plays him is Richard Grant. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But he's a good actor, though. He's been in a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows. He's definitely a veteran actor. But Corinne, tells the bishop that that Percy's there to see him. But then she says, I apologize that things didn't work out between you and Grandma. And she's like, it's okay. When God closes one door, he opens another one. So he's talking to Percy, and Percy pretty much lets him know that you up here going through this whole IRS situation, what you gonna do? And then Bishop was like, I wish I knew. That's why I called you here, because you've dealt with some IRS situations before, with your funeral home. How did you get out of it? He was like, look, I pretty much got me a good lawyer, had to rob Peter to play Paul, but it was a crazy situation. But then he lets him know that, what about that old pretty thing that you was talking to at the party? Meaning Rochelle. He's like, yeah, she's pretty much like a financial meganon, so you should definitely be trying to talk to her. Because not only is she involved in all these different elements of finance, but then she's into cryptocurrency, something that's taking over the market, and it's booming. So if anybody that can get you out of the situation, it should be her. And then he was like, and the Bishop's like, I'm not trying to go down that road. I'm not trying to deal with that. And he was like, well, you don't really have much of a choice. But, but give me your number. And he's like, nah, I ain't trying to go that route. He's like, I'm asking for the number for me, fool. Give me your number. I'm like, Percy's a mess. So we see that go on. Then we get a scene with Tasha and Rochelle. Rochelle gives Tasha these forms for her to give to Jacob to sign. And what it is forms, giving permission to fund money to the real church. Where it's going to look like Jacob is embezzling money from Triumph to put into the real church, his idea. And, we see that Tasha has some resistance towards this. And she was saying that, okay, but then, she asks about, well, what about the bishop? She says that, and Rochelle was like, shoot, after the way the bishop treated me at that party, I ain't going to the bishop for nothing, but trust me, when this IRS thing hits his doorstep and he realizes he ain't got that money, he gonna find me, and then I'll handle it then. Yeah, especially now that it's all in the news and everything, he's definitely gonna find me. So, this old demon, Rochelle the harlot, she is really playing, to take them down for real. So then we see that Lady May goes up to talk to Connie, and the head bishop, the head deacon. They talk about the whole IRS situation. And she's saying that I know this is a bunch of mess, but then Lady May was like, but I am ready to come in and take over and do what we have to do to get this right. And Connie was like, what you mean take over? She's like, yeah, I can get the bishop to step down, and I can take over and run the church. And Connie's like, well, sorry, sweetie, it doesn't work that way. I mean, with all of this hype and everything that's going on, we need like a candidate that's like a third party, that's not really affiliated to what's really going on. And of course, that whole demeanor of Lady May changed. She was like, well, who you talking about? And Connie said, Grace. And man, you could crack her face when she mentioned Grace was the person they were thinking about stepping in. Where they were thinking about, stepping in to take over the church. So she was not happy about that at all. Like, Lady May's face just went straight mad, like. Just like that. Then we get a scene where Sophia is working with the little saints, and they pretty much are discussing Faith. How ironic, because Faith, used to teach the little saints as well, when she was younger. So here it is, we see Sophia's kind of following in the same footsteps as Faith, and we see that Roberto shows up, and Roberto's like, trying to, talk to Sophia. It's like, you want to grab something to eat? And she was like, well, do you want to apologize first? Because it was kind of messed up of how he did her. Like, okay, she didn't want to, because she didn't want to give it up, you decided to just leave, and you say you weren't mad, but it was obvious that you were pissed off. And obviously, Sophia clocked it, so she really didn't have much to say to Roberto, but then again, she was liking it at the same time because she does like him. So then we see that Tasha goes to try to push the papers on to Jacob, but she sees that Jacob is there playing chess with his little boy, and she's like, oh, I got some forms here for you. And he was like, I'll take care of it. She's like, oh, no, it can wait till later. And then she spins it about, the maintenance, that her office gets really, really cold and all of that. And, I just really want, she just said that, I just really would hope that the maintenance guy will get it together. So she totally put it on something else. And we can definitely see that she just couldn't do it. So then later on, we see that she goes to Rochelle and says that I couldn't find the time to get him to sign the papers. She was like, oh, you couldn't find the time, huh? She was like, no, I couldn't. She's like, make it the right time. I mean, don't you want to see Basie again? I mean, don't you want Triumph back again? then make it the right time and get them to sign them papers. And I don't want to hear nothing else about it. I'm like, Rochelle is just mean, just downright mean with it. So we see that go down. Then we see that Lady Mae goes to confront Grace, and she was like, "Oh, I've been talking to Connie," and Grace was like, "Okay, did Connie tell you that I told her no?" And she's like, "Well, how I know you not conspiring? That really you're trying to take over your father's church. I mean, how would it look like you trying to dismantle your father from his post?" She said that, first of all, I don't even want no parts of this. And besides, I already told her that I don't want the church and I don't want to step up. And she was like, and she says, and besides, the way that you two have been going back and forth with your situation, I don't know where your pride and your weaknesses begin or end. So I really don't want no parts of it. So again, I don't want the church. And then Lady Mae was like, "Well, good, because you're never gonna get it." I'm like, where's the God in that, Lady Mae, huh? Just a mess. Then we see that Charity, pretty much what happens that after the arrest, Kevin was granted little Nathan for a week. So now he's going to be with Kevin for a week. And we see that Charity was not happy about that, because she gave the baby to Kevin and threw the baby bag on the ground and walked back up the steps. And we can definitely see that there's definitely a break in Charity after all that she's been through. And then also thinking about it, she's probably also dealing with, one, you remember, she was pregnant with twins and the girl twin died. So she's still dealing with that. And then also dealing with postpartum depression, because she had to have a C-section to have, baby Nathan. And after she had the C-section, they gave her oxycodone. So here it is, she's drinking and popping oxys, which, and so here it is, she's, popping, oxycodone and drinking, and it just takes a turn for the worse, and I'm definitely going to get to that too. So then we see that Grace and Connie meet up, and she pretty much says that why, and like pretty much she approaches Connie and was like, why would I want to take over the church, when we obviously have opposing views? And she's like, well, I think we could find a middle ground. And she was saying that no, only way I would do it is if the church has to be open and inclusive. We can no longer turn our eye to the LGBTQ community. We cannot turn our eye to anybody. We can't let the church die. And Connie was like, so what is church to you? She said, unconditional love and change. And that's the only way that I will do this, if it becomes that. And other than that, I want nothing to do with it. So pretty much she was saying, so you would just let the church fall like this? And she said that, see, your mother, on the other hand, thinks that she can just come in and take over. And I don't know where she got that idea, but that is so not the case. And I'm like, But then she was like, but then she said that, but one thing I will say is that if you don't step up, there will be some changes. Like, for example, there will be a for sale sign outside. So there will be change, but it won't be church. So then we see that the bishop takes Percy's advice to go down to talk to Rochelle. He goes down there to talk to her, and he apologizes to her and everything. So pretty much he tells her about the whole tax situation, and he was saying that, forgive me, that I've been inconsistent with you, and I really do, I really would, appreciate your help. And she was like, oh, so you just want this, so you want this Jezebel to relieve you of your IRS situation? She's like, oh, that's just so messed up how you can just trample and hurt somebody and then still come back and ask for a favor. You know what, Bishop? I'm over this, and it don't work like that. You just think I can just come down here and just whip up some cash for you. So my answer to you is no. And then she tells her guy, like, the next time he comes, don't let me know about it. I don't want to know if he's here. I'm like, oh, Rochelle is really shaking things up. So she's like, oh, I'm really going to milk this, and I'm going to really just continue to turn the heartstrings. I'm like, see, Rochelle is evil, and I hope they pluck her before things get worse. But we already see that's on the horizon. So then we see that Zora and Sophia have a scene. We see that Zora is still being very short and standoffish. And Sophia's like, look, I know you don't want to talk to me, and I don't want to talk to you either, but look, let's be grown-ups about this. And then she tries to invite her out to Saxby's, but then Zora's like, I'd rather eat my socks. And then all of a sudden she gets a pain in her side again, and of course this gets Zora's attention. She's like, Sophia's like, I don't know what it is, I've just been feeling a lot of pain on my side lately. And she was like, you're probably pregnant. And then walked away. And I'm like, Zora, you are so mean. Like, you are just so stuck in your own crap that you didn't actually see that your cousin was really going through something. Because as soon as Zora left, the pain got worse to the point that she literally couldn't move, So we saw that go down. So then we actually see that Grace is out with Darius, and she's telling him about like how they want her to take over the church and everything. And she was saying that she was like, but come to think of it, and she tells Darius, I don't want to take over the church. But then again, I wonder what it'll be like, me being the head of the church and you being first gentleman. And then he was like, is it possible that I could be first boyfriend? She was like, oh no, I'm definitely not having that. Not at all. It wouldn't work out. And then she gets a call from Lady May, and pretty much, Darius is like, answer it. And she was like, she's probably just trying to nag me, but okay. She answers the phone, and we see that Grace's face completely frowns down. So she actually it was a call about what happened to Sophia. And what ended up happening is that they rushed her to the hospital. And they had to do surgery on her because I think it was like this, these fibroids that began to attack her ovaries. And I think it was called ovarian torsion, where it was like literally twisting her ovaries, and that's why she was in such a lot of pain. But then we see at this hospital, Charity is high on oxycodone and alcohol, and she flipping out. She talking crap to Grace, talking about some, oh, Grace, well, I hope everything work out, but hey, I lost a daughter, so therefore I can be there for you if you need me, just like you wanted to be there for me. It's just all your fault, Grace. And I'm like, and then we see Lady May go over there and pull Charity down, and I'm like, you know that's your child. You know that she thinks and acts just like you, blaming the whole world instead of looking in the mirror and doing the pointing, at the reflection. But then we see that Grace decides to go back there, and then Lady May was following her. She was like, what are you doing? And Lady May's like, I'm going with you. And then Grace was like, no, thank you, I'm good. I'm like, Lady May, do you think she wants you with her after you literally just told her off that she would never get to church because you're so pious on having power and having prestige? And like how the way you talked to her earlier, you think she wants you with her to go see her daughter? But then we see that that Grace and Sophia have a moment, and Sophia talks about, Roberto came to me and he says he wants to marry me, and we're gonna have children, and she talks about her dreams and all of that. And then he said that he respects me setting boundaries to our relationship and all of that. And she just shares her dreams with her mother, which was a very beautiful thing. And then we see that Darius actually calls her, but instead of her answering Darius's call, she goes to the chapel. And she goes to pray, and she sees the lamb, Definitely, we definitely also saw the lamb when Sophia was teaching the little saints as well. And then while she's in the chapel, the rest of them are in the waiting room. We see that Jacob and Zora have a moment, and he's trying to talk to her, trying to get to her, and she's still being very standoffish and was like, Dad, it's like every time, that's why I don't talk to you, because you're always picking at me. That's what you do. You always pick at me. And then then Carissa tried to talk to her, and she was like, how things going with Grandma? She's like, pretty much, I'm not only do I don't have anything, but then I got to wake up early in the morning for Bible study, and I'm always being watched like a hawk over there. And Carissa's like, look, you can always come home. She's like, well, how do you think I'm supposed to feel? You guys put me out. I'm like, you're not obeying by their rules either, so what makes you think they want to keep you there if you're not going to be respectful and actually listen to them? So pretty much she was like, well, it is what it is. I'm finally going to be what you always wanted me to be, the American little doll. And then all of a sudden, then Daggone Charity starts in like, ooh, y'all messed her up bad. But hey, at least I got another child to work on. I'm like, oh, Charity needed her block knocked off. Because she was just being all out of sorts. I mean, with Grace, and now she going for Carissa like, y'all messed her up bad. Well, at least y'all got a little boy to take care of. Y'all need to let her go. And then all of a sudden, she just is just wilding out. She goes to the machine to get her a whatchamacallit, but the machine didn't dispense the candy bar, so she starts flipping out. She's like, I want my whatchamacallit. I'm like, Charity is so insane. Then Lady May comes over there, and Carissa was like, look, I'll give you another $1. She's like, I don't want another $1. I want my candy. You're not going to take from me. You're not going to do me like this. And she starts going crazy, and then next thing you know, she hits the vending machine so hard that she breaks the glass and takes out the whatchamacallit and starts eating it. And her hand's all bloody, so she needs stitches. And then she's like, I'm going to need a doctor. And also, I think somebody else is going to need a lawyer. Like, this daggone child is a mess. Just a total mess. So therefore, we see that the bishop and Lady May meet up after they work on Charity, and they come to find out that Charity has been on oxycodone. And the bishop is like, it seems that our kids need their parents. Grace, Jacob, and Charity, they need us. And he's like, and then Lady May's like, yeah, you're right. They do need us, but not the way we were. And she says, going back to what we were will be disrespect to God and she says that what I personally think we need to do is that we need to tell everyone what's really going on between us and move on. You can be there for them as their father. I can be there for them as their mother. but we're not going to be there for them as parents. And we just see that this just hurts the bishop to his heart. But Bishop, you kind of opened that wound, and you've been trying to fix it, but hey, once you serve them papers, it is what it is. And then we see that after because Charity is still kind of going out of it. She's like, "What happened?" And she's like, "You stole a candy bar." And we could just tell that Charity is still kind of out of it because she did an overdose of oxycodone. So, but then all of them find the chapel when Grace was already there, and I think it was the perfect scene that it brought the whole family to God. And then we see that in this scene, we see that Charity goes over there to comfort Grace. But I'm like, yes, and I'm glad that Grace had the strength of God, because if it would have been another situation, Charity would have got that back slap because she so deserved it because she was doing the most. But then we see that the bishop gets a text from Rochelle. She's like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry about how the way things happen. I want to help you. Come by." And then after the surgery, the doctor meets up with Grace and lets Grace know that that pretty much there were issues involving her ovarian torsion, and that there were these things that were affecting it. So they said that they removed everything, but once they removed everything, there were no good ovaries. So the sad thing is that Sophia will never be able to have children. So we see the scene where Grace actually goes in with Sophia, and Sophia notices that her mom looks worried, and she pretty much tells her that there were complications in the surgery and they had to remove your ovaries. And Sophia breaks down to the point it literally choked my heart up. And shout out to Desiree Ross. You are a great actress, because Sophia cried like a part of her died, because she so wanted to be a mother and so wanted to have children on her own, but to come to realize that she would never be able to carry a child. So of course this is definitely going to be an issue about her faith. And all this time she's been very active in the church, been a strong follower of the Gospels, and now that this happened, this can actually turn her away from God altogether. But we shall see how she's going to deal with that. But I have to say, that scene was some great acting, and it was so moving. So then we also see Tasha actually goes to Jacob, and she gets him to sign off on all the papers and everything. And the whole time he's signing it off, he's giving her compliments of, "Man, you are a godsend, and I thank you so much for stepping up, with all the stuff I got going on." And she says that, as far as that maintenance man, I'm gonna make sure that he does whatever he has to do to make you happy, because you're more than just you're more than just you're more than just an employee. You're family. And we see that this definitely eats away at Tasha. So the question is, will Tasha turn in them papers? Because he literally just signed everything away. But we see that Tasha feels bad, and she really doesn't want to do it. And I think it's because she's starting to see that Jacob really is a good person. But then also I think it's because she has a crush on him too. So pretty much towards the end of the episode, we see that the bishop and Lady May meet up. He comes to her office, and he pretty much gives her a draft of what he's going to read to the church, and that she can make any changes if she so chooses. And pretty much before he leaves, he's like, I'm sorry. And she kind of looks and was like, please close the door behind you. But we can definitely tell that there's a part of her that still loves him. But as of right now, she's closing a chapter and opening another one. But we're going to see how this is going to work out, because she's still dead set on taking the church. And, you know, taking over like Maxine had brought up to her in the last episode. We're going to see how that's going to happen. So, that's what I have, everybody. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Greenleaf. Man, I love this show. And Greenleaf is really doing big things. So, until next time, everybody, take care.